Hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel called Thought Girl. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing why I decided to do online school at 11 years old and how it changed my life, shaped my career, and the lessons that I've learned from it. Some of the topics in today's video we're going to be covering is lack of structure, career focus, laziness, and the lessons learned. And if you are someone that used to be online schooled and wants to find some relatable content with it, then you will definitely relate to this topic a lot. And this is the pre-pandemic style of online school, which I think is so interesting because I started doing online school in 2011, which was way before COVID and way before it was more mainstream. And it's still not as mainstream as public school is and Catholic schools are and private schools. This was definitely a huge move for me as a kid, since no one I knew was doing it at the time. I started online school because I was getting heavily bullied at my public school. I'm not going to get into too much of that in this video, but I was bullied by teachers, bullied by students, and pretty exiled from the community that school creates. So I would come home from school every single day crying, and I was also really trying to focus on my music career at the time. My parents, they did not like the public school I was going to, and they themselves never went to college. And I do believe that my dad almost barely graduated high school. And so they were just not fans of schooling in general. So when they found out about online school and alternative learning, they hopped right on that for me. How did teachers and students react to my move to online school? Well, I was definitely a girl who cried wolf growing up. And a lot of the kids in my class didn't believe me when I told them that I wouldn't be there next year for sixth grade. So they were like, yeah, okay, we'll see you back next year. And I was like, no guys, I really am leaving school. It was the end of fifth grade, and I had confirmed everything with the school I was going to, which was called, it's still around, it's called the Pennsylvania Cyber Charter School, or PA Cyber. And it's the same school that Sabrina Carpenter went to. Okay, classmate, I see you. And the kids at school totally didn't believe me. So they were, just like, yeah, right, we'll see you back next year. I don't even remember telling the teachers, but I do believe that they were a little weirded out by it. Obviously, homeschool or online school, it definitely has a weird connotation to it, or it did at least in 2011. It was like, you're not going to be able to communicate well with kids or keep connections. And again, I'll get into that more in this video. In the early years of online school, so from sixth grade to eighth grade, my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and she would sit by the computer and she would help me with my assignments, and she would kind of monitor me in a way where I was being held accountable by her to do my work. And I had straight A's, maybe a few B's, but I had really good grades in middle school, and I absolutely loved online school in those years. I was going to theater practice probably 3 or 4 nights a week at the time. So I was getting a decent amount of socialization after school, and I felt great in those years. I was totally anxiety free. There were maybe some moments where I wish I had a friend group, but it wasn't until high school where I started feeling the major amounts of FOMO. But during the early years, it was pretty good. I wanted to also add, if you are thinking of enrolling your child or things like that, PA Cyber, at least for me, provided a laptop, provided a printer, and all of the school supplies, books, and everything. You didn't have to pay a dime. And they also paid a portion of the electric bill, which I thought was so cool. So, if you're thinking of that, you don't have to have any materials to start online school. They give you everything, like a little headset and everything. I mean, it's probably different now, but at the time, that was what was given to me. If you are or were a fellow online schooled kid, we used something called Schoology in the beginning, and then it changed into My School Portal. I wonder if that's still around. And then we used Blackboard Collaborate. Those are some little things that I think you would know if you were a fellow PA Cyber student. I was a very online kid at the time, so I was spending a lot of my time watching YouTubers. Obviously, if you were a 2000s baby, you're watching Jenna Marbles, Gen X Pen, Shane Dawson, Trisha Paytas, Glow Z. Oh my God, I could go on and on about all of the YouTubers I used to watch. And I would spend a lot of my time online, and specifically on the website Omegle, which I want to make a separate video on, so stay tuned for that. But I was very online, and once I entered high school, that was when the shift happened, where I left the theater company that I was doing at the time. I joined a different one that was only running within the summertime. So during my early high school years, I would spend the summer doing all of my theater, getting all of my social interaction, making all of my friends. And then once the school year hit, it was like I was just trapped in my room, where I only left the house to maybe go out to eat with my parents at a pizza place once a week, do one dance class a week. And I remember feeling so energetic and so outgoing and extroverted during those interactions that it was like, wow, I really am an extroverted kid that is being confined to a room and not using my full potential as far as my personality and meeting friends, things like that. When I would look on Instagram and I would see mutuals I had posting with their big friend group out at a football game or hanging out at someone's house, going on vacation with friends, I felt so much FOMO. If you don't know what FOMO is, it's fear of missing out. And I wasn't doing any of my assignments. By the time it was ninth grade, I would go to the mandatory classes that I needed to go to and take a nap during them, and then be the only name left in the classroom. And the teacher would keep calling on me. And I was obviously asleep, not, interacting. They would put us into breakout rooms, and I would be that kid that would do nothing because I was asleep. I would just turn my laptop on, enter the classroom, and go back to sleep. It's like 9, 10, 11 a.m. I slept so much during school. I didn't have routine. I was super lazy, and all I did every single day was watch YouTube, watch TV, watch movies. I was drinking like a lot of soda, eating a lot of Chinese food that was ordered to the house, maybe taking $20 out of my mom's sock drawer for it, okay? Like, I was not a good kid. I was a good kid when it came to always doing my performances well and focusing on all of the music aspect of my career. I was taking opera lessons at the time, and I was singing so much at the time, and still kind of working on the album that I was working on, in the early years of high school. But I just started to not care once I didn't have any accountability. I ended up blocking the school's phone number from my mom's cell phone because they kept calling her and telling her that I needed to submit assignments and that I was late on things. And she would harp on me. You need to get this done. They say you're failing. They say you're missing assignments. And I was just like, I'll do it. I just got so tired of hearing that. So I literally just got her phone one day and I blocked the school's number from my mom's phone and my mom's email so that she wouldn't get anything that they would send her. So that was pretty bad of me. And unless I had dance that night or I was going to the pizza shop, I just didn't even put regular clothes on. I was in my pajamas all day long in high school. So that did not set me up for good routines in the future. And I had to literally start creating them myself fairly recently. And I feel so much better with routines, waking up, and I feel like finally at 24 years old, I can actually do things every single day, like the same things every single day, and it not become monotonous to me. Because sometimes I was like, routines aren't for me. I like to wake up and I like to do different things every single day. But I realize I find structure to be so much more appealing than to wake up and not have a to-do list and not have a schedule and not habit stack where I do one thing and then I do one thing after that. But then I had no plan, no schedule, waking up, pajamas. Quizlet definitely got me through the last few years, which is kind of sad to say because I was obviously not learning anything. I would get my answers online. I would just copy and paste all of the teacher's questions into Google, and Google would give me every single answer from Quizlet. Quizlet would actually have the entire thing sometimes, and I would just like, boom, A, B, C, true or false. I wonder if they've gotten better at seeing if people are doing that, but I was using Quizlet the entire way. If you're from Pennsylvania, you might know of the Keystone exams, which is state testing. You actually had to go in person to a hotel to take them with this online school. I failed every single one of them. I didn't care. Bottom line, I just didn't care. And now I am so obsessed with learning at 24, where I'm like, oh, if I could just, like low key take a high school course. If I could re-enroll at 24, I think I would have a really good time now. There was definitely a turning point in 11th grade once I got my very first boyfriend. I was obsessed with him. We would go out all the time together, and I finally had social interaction. Like, I would hang out with his friends, and he would pick me up in his 1994 Jeep Laredo. If you know, you know. And we would hang out until the wee hours of the morning. My parents would make snarky comments at the fact that we would hang out so late, but they never told me I couldn't, which I think is so interesting because they were pretty hands off as parents. Like, I wasn't doing anything too bad, but they also didn't know what I was doing. When I was in 11th grade, I got introduced to Mary Jane from my ex-boyfriend, well, my boyfriend at the time. We were doing Mary Jane together, and that totally impacted my drive, and it impacted a lot of negative things in my life. It did create some really good creative aspects to my music and things like that, but overall, it was not good for me. And I want to, again, make a separate video on that. I have a whole list of videos I want to make, so please subscribe and stay tuned for my video about Mary Jane. So at the time, I was obsessed with it. I knew that I would love it, and we would be doing that a lot. They finally got a hold of my mom, finally called her and told her that I was failing. I remember a very specific moment before we were going to see Megan Hilty. My parents got me Megan Hilty tickets for my birthday. This is obviously the end of 11th grade. So this is May. And she was so upset with me that day. I ended up sobbing, bawling my eyes out. You can tell with the photos because I met Megan Hilty in the photos. My under eyes are so puffy from crying all day because I was failing. And the teacher did tell my mom, if I don't do X, Y, and Z, I'm going to have to repeat 11th grade. Repeating 11th grade. And I was like, oh God, I don't want another year of this. This is the worst thing that could ever happen to me. There was a ton of past due assignments I had to do. I did them literally all in 1 week, where I would spend all day long, 18 hours a day, just doing all of my study island, which literally shoot me. I hate study island so much. Doing all of my assignments all day long. Quizlet got me through. Again, like I said, Quizlet. It was free. I wonder if you have to pay for it now, but it was free at the time. It's the best thing in the world. It got me through 11th and 12th grade completely. So, that was terrible. And I had to do all of the assignments. I ended up passing 11th grade, thank God, and moving on. Okay, now we're in 12th grade. I'm graduating. Barely got through it completely. Guess in the comments what you think my GPA was before I say it. I want you to comment down below, what do you think my GPA was? Being this lackluster in school and not having any structure and not submitting my assignments, what do you think I got? Drum roll, please. 1.7 was my GPA. And funniest part about this whole thing, I ended up singing opera at my graduation with a 1.7 GPA. I'm going to assume people in the crowd thought that, okay, Miss Opera Girl is definitely smart. Not that, and I also want to point out, not that your GPA means how smart you are. They probably thought my grades were great, being able to sing opera at this event. Little do they know, that's all I was doing. I was just doing opera. I wasn't doing math, English, science, or social studies. I was just obsessed with music, and I hyperfixated on it so much to the point where I didn't do anything else. I want to reiterate, grades do not reflect intelligence. I definitely would have thrived with more of a hands-on approach, and online school was definitely not for me. Reflecting on now, being 24, almost 25, I love learning. I love structure. I love habits. I think I always will love learning because it was never forced on me as a kid. I think now that I get to choose what I want to learn, I adore learning more so now than I did when I was in high school, when I was obviously only caring about music. The good and the bad of online school. It allowed me to focus on my career. It taught me independence, but I struggled with loneliness and friends. I lacked routines and accountability. So good and bad. You know, it does give you a lot of your time back if that's something that you're lacking in as far as wanting to do more, but you have to be so disciplined. And I wasn't at the time. I probably could do well now. But the advice I could give to somebody that's currently in online school that's struggling, that I would love to have told myself when I was younger, is it's so much better to chip away at the work. 3 minutes a day, 3, 5, 10 minutes is so much better than trying to cram it all in past due the week of graduation. That anxiety and that pit in my stomach, I'm so thankful is gone now that I think I'm 7 years out of high school. Oof. Terrible. Now that I'm 7 years out, it is a great feeling to not have to worry about that. And if I could go back, that's the one thing I would change, is chip away at assignments to not have to struggle at the end of the year like I did. If you are struggling with online school, don't worry. It gets better. One day you will not be doing school. It's so hard to think that now when you're piled up with assignments. One day it'll all be over. The stress will be gone and you will be working and living your own life and paying bills. I sound old. If you've made it this far in the video, please comment down below your experience with online school. If you're contemplating it for yourself or for your child. Obviously with this video, I don't think you would choose online school. I did not give many pros because unfortunately for me, there were not many pros. And this is before COVID. You have to remember that. The system has gotten a lot better. So thank you so much for watching, you guys. I have plenty of videos planned for the future. Please make sure you go to the links in my description. Stream my music because look at me. I'm still living in my parents' house that I was doing online school in. Like, please. I gotta get out at some point. Please go to my main channel to see my music videos. I love them dearly. I also have a podcast with my best friend, Matt. It's called Hate Watch Headquarters. I film it in New York with him, and it's so funny. So if you love gay humor, drag race, and pop stars, you will love this podcast. It's literally a ramble podcast. Have it on the background while you're doing your online school homework, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye.